Wenn es Neuigkeiten zu Krypto-ETFs gibt, weiß er meistens als allerersten vor allen anderen Bescheid. Eric Balchunas ist seit 25 Jahren Senior ETF-Analyst bei Bloomberg. Kaum einer ist so tief drin im Thema wie er. Ein Tweet von ihm kann Märkte bewegen. Vom historischen Siegeszug der Bitcoin-Spot-ETFs bis zu der Enttäuschung rund um die Ethereum-ETFs und die Hoffnungen auf Altcoin-ETFs wie Solana und Co. Wir haben heute auf der Token2049 die Möglichkeit, mit Eric über all diese Fragen zu reden. Okay, so before we dive into the numbers and the ETFs, I'm just curious. You've been like for 25 years ETF senior analyst at Bloomberg, and was there a specific moment that made you turn to crypto, or a specific trend where you thought like, oh, there's something here?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my job to cover all ETFs. So when they file for Bitcoin ETFs, I had to learn something, and it dates back to 2013. When the Winklevoss twins filed for a Bitcoin ETF. That's when I first got some knowledge. Back then it was trading at $100. I could have invested it and I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But anyway, I kind of blew it off like most people back then.
Why did you blow it up?
I don't know. I just didn't understand it. Too busy. At the time I just had my first kid. Just too busy to like deal, That's why I think, this stuff takes a while to grasp. And when you're younger, you have a little more time and it's a scene and you get into it. I didn't have any of that. I was trying to build my ETF world and other things going on, And but I respected its ability to come back from drawdowns. I was like, man, 3 times I thought it was going to die and it came back. And I'm like, that's a pretty powerful concept that something can like come back. It also seemed to annoy the right people.
Ah, what does that mean?
Like, like uptight columnists who are like, oh, this crypto, and I don't know. I thought, man, if that person is so annoyed by it, there must be something good about it. Maybe that's just a kind of me thing, I guess, but okay. I just felt like it bugged the right people. Anyway, but that's all I did. Now, fast forward to 2022, 2023, when BlackRock filed for the iShares ETF, IBIT. That's when I really dove in, because all of a sudden we had like iShares. It was a big moment. I was shocked they even filed, to be honest with you. Then Fidelity, then WisdomTree. Then we have all these people filed. Will Gensler approve it? And I dove in at that point. So for the past year and a half, close to 2 years, I have really learned a lot and gotten way more knowledgeable about why all the excitement is here, why it has growth potential. And the ETFs are obviously a huge hit. That helped justify a lot of my time spent covering them more and more. They broke all the records and everything. So it's really interesting.
Did you expect that when they launched? I think it was 19 January last year or something. Did you expect that it will go that way?
I thought they'd be successful to a degree, because ETFs make it easy to buy stuff, especially for like advisors and institutions. But I didn't realize it'd be this big. Like, I'll give you one stat. IBIT got to $50 billion in assets in 227 days. The next fastest ETF of all of them ever launched globally in 30 years was 1,300 days. Yeah. So 4 years was the record to 50 billion. This one did it in under 1 year. That's crazy. It wasn't even close. That's a really good sign. And so it was wild.
It was wild, but can that growth continue like this? Or will it plateau?
It plateaued a little. The growth is always going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Okay.
It's going to go like this.
Okay.
And we were just in a 1 step back period. Now we're back into we're back on, or we're so back, so to speak, in your language. It's going to be like, it's so over, we're so back. But this we're so back is going to be a little bigger, I think, than the so over. But it won't be a straight line. And ETF categories are built this way normally. None of them just go up in a straight line with nothing but inflows. Okay. But net, the most important number of all these numbers to look out for is the net flows since inception. Because flows are independent of price movement, and they're purely how much money is going in versus how much money is coming out, the net number. And they're about 40 billion, which was the high watermark. So they hit 40 billion like in January, then they went down a little because of the so over part. A couple billion went out, but it came right back. So 40 billion, can they build on that number? That is a big number. Our estimate for the first year was 10 to 15 billion. Oh. So 40 blew that away. And to get To only see 3 billion come out in this last sell-off is a good sign. The boomer holders, as everybody calls them, are stronger handed than people think.
Okay.
We saw it twice now in 2 different drawdowns. They also only have a small allocation, so they're not going to freak out if a little a drawdown happens. They're probably a little more worried about the stock market, frankly, because that's where most of their assets are.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin held up pretty well, and so when you don't see outflows after in a sell-off, it's really good because then you build back to get back to where you were. The high water mark isn't that hard. So only in 8 days they got back to the high water mark of 40 billion, and they're going to build on that probably.
You mentioned the stock market, and for a long time, Bitcoin has pretty much correlated with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. And like I think in the last week we saw some moment where it decoupled, and I was just thinking like Bitcoiners always say like it's like gold, it's a safe haven, but it hasn't moved like that. This is like, do you believe in that narrative that it's at some point coming, or is it just moving like the stock market forever?
I think it's I've always said Bitcoin is gold as a teenager.
It's good.
Gold's 4,000 years old. Bitcoin's 16 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know. My son's 14 and he's volatile. He talks back. He's going through emotional changes, physical changes, and he does stuff that gets him in trouble. This is Bitcoin. It's like a kid, but it's eventually going to mature.
Okay.
And these little flashes of decoupling, I think, are. Because my kid also does some things where I'm like, wow, that was really great. That was a mature thing you just did. And I think that's how this will play out. So the decoupling is crucial, though, because the bigger institutions, they want digital gold. They don't want a tech stock.
Yeah.
And so the decoupling, even a little bit, got a lot of incoming to BlackRock. That's what Robbie Mishmanik said on stage yesterday, that he got a lot of good calls about people going, oh, this is a good sign. Mm-hmm. The more of this decoupling we see, the more you'll probably see the bigger fish bite.
Okay, so let's move on from Bitcoin to Ethereum. That didn't perform so well. Ethereum's price was like flatlined, and also I think it's just like at 6 billion in assets, and Bitcoin is like at 108 billion.
Yeah.
And like, did you expect that, or how do you explain like Ethereum? Would you call it a failure? Why is it?
No, I mean, it has 5% of the assets that Bitcoin ETFs have. But 5% of 100 billion is 5 billion. Yeah. Maybe it's 6.
Or safe forever, yeah.
If you take Bitcoin out of the equation and say that only Ether launched and you get 6 billion for a new category after a year, I'd say that's pretty damn good. It's hard to get assets in your first year. It's just really hard. It takes a little while.
Okay.
6 billion, it would be a big hit. It just came after Bitcoin, which broke all the records. So I'd say Ether did fine. It also launched into a downturn. That's not great. Okay. But the bigger problem for Ether, it will always be second fiddle, but it's harder to explain.
It is.
These Ether, the gas, nobody really, I think a regular person doesn't work with the applications that are made on there. You got to be able to translate this stuff to a normal person, and Bitcoin is like digital gold. It stores value, but you can transfer it, it's scarce. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Ether, it's just harder. Solana, XRP. My thing is, Ether and these other ones are more like growth stocks.
Okay.
They are blockchains that are built up, smart people trying to grow and network. Mm-hmm. And the more the network happens, the stronger it is. And you don't know which ones you're going to grow. So it's like Solana, XRP. These are betting on small cap stocks or something.
Okay.
It's different than Bitcoin. So I think for some investors who want that like growth exposure, they might buy it. But I just don't think it's going to have the wide appeal that new gold has. And digital gold, for a lot of people, and Bitcoin will be enough to check their crypto box. Mm-hmm. They won't need to go on. In the precious metals world, most people are happy with just gold. They don't need silver.
Yeah.
They don't need platinum, palladium. They're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So just the way it is.
So I think at the SEC right now, there's like 72 applications for different altcoin ETFs.
That slide I had was, it's like 4 days old. Yeah. It's now like about 80.
Yeah,
it's like hitting a moving target.
It's like Ripple, Solana, Hedera.
Somebody just filed for
Dogecoin?
Tron, a staked Tron.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do we need all these ETFs?
I'm a fan of capitalism, and you just gotta, look, you throw it out there, see if the fish bite. If they don't, you can just close it. It's fine.
Okay.
Thematic ETFs are a small part of the ETF world. A couple hits, and they threw all kinds of weird theme ETFs out there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are gone now.
Okay.
I've seen it happen. This is no big deal to me. One will be like a flavor of the month hit. Something will come out of the woodwork, like bonk or something weird, and it will go on like 100% run.
Okay.
And like there will be people who like, ooh, shiny object. And that'll like, those will come and go, flavor of the months.
Mm-hmm.
But Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, these are like more legitimate plays. They'll get the most of the money. But it's okay to experiment and try stuff. And a lot of issuers, the ETF market is where all the people buy, that's where all the fish are biting in the TradFi world.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to try to like innovate something and make money as an asset manager, it's unless you go into like private equity, ETFs are like where you do it. So there's a lot of innovation, people trying stuff, and it's fine. But a lot of this stuff won't get assets. It won't get much assets.
So sometimes I wrote about and people, or Van or some consultancy firms bring out these predictions. Oh, when a Solana ETF gets approved, Solana could be rising to $3,000 per coin. And I've just thought, look at the Ethereum ETF. Is that even realistic to have such high expectations anymore, aside from anything but Bitcoin? Or should people just be like,
yeah,
no?
In general, isn't there a phrase, the road to hell is paved with high expectations?
I think it's from Churchill, but
Is it Churchill? Yeah. Anyway, you gotta look in 5-year periods. I would say Bitcoin or Ether person, whatever, look at a rolling 5-year chart. You're probably up a ton.
Okay.
If you look at day to day, you get people's mood get too determined by the day-to-day pricing. I get it. People want their bags pumped and they want to feel good, but I think some of this stuff, it's an investment that it's like growing. It's like a tree. If you planted a little sapling outside, you wouldn't stand there and watch it every day and get bummed out that it didn't. I would plant it and then get hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Go do stuff, and believe in it, but don't. If you center your whole world around the price every day, it's just at some point you're gonna lose your mind.
Yeah.
So I would lower expectations. I think the ETFs, they don't guarantee assets. They just guarantee you're fishing where the fish are.
Okay.
So, at least in the TradFi world. So all the ETFs are at least, it's like you threw your line out and the bait's sitting there and your coin is now out in the waters where all the TradFi people bite. So at least you're there. You got to be in it to win it. So that's it. And a lot of people who have these ETFs have salespeople. They're out trying to sell the ETF. Mm-hmm. And so you'd have to just sort of you'd be like, okay, at least there's another distribution of my coin through the ETF world, but it doesn't guarantee number go up all the time or quickly. So I think it's good to have not low expectations, but measured expectations in anything in life. Yeah,
Fair. Yeah. He said he had a 13-year-old son.
14-year-old.
14-year-old. Yeah, I'm 30. 14.
Sorry.
My English.
Yeah. I'm not that old, but I am old.
No, I meant 40.
Yeah.
If he's older and says, I want to do finance stuff, what would you tell him? Go into TradFi or go into crypto?
Interesting. I think he'd fit in this world a little better.
Why?
He loves to create TikTok videos.
Oh, cool.
And he does editing. He does sports TikTok videos with music like this and a guy catching a ball. And he's just, I could see him fitting into this world a little more than the regular TradFi world. That said, he's very good at quantitative. When he took his tests, and they show you where you scored high, quantitative math was his highest score. And so there are some TradFi roles where that's good, but you could also apply that here. So I could see him in this world. I'm not sure what he'll do, but he also likes to go online. While he does do real things like basketball, and he goes to church, and we try to get him out of the house as much as possible. When he does go on the computer, from a young age, he really enjoyed Roblox, where you go on and you interact and you chat while you do it. So he really enjoys immersing himself into the digital world. And so that would fit into this as well. And you can make money here versus just I don't know. I know half the youth wants to be a TikTok, YouTube creator. I bet he probably would say that right now, to be honest with you. But my wife, if you know my wife, there's no way she would allow that. So this is kind of a world where you can like get a job, there's money, yet you can do a lot of that like sort of creator work.
Yeah.
So I definitely see, and this is one of the reasons I take this space so seriously. The average age here is like, I don't know, 28 to 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what young people are into, you have to pay attention to, because they're not going to just abandon this for like, they're going to go, oh, now I'm 30, screw all this, I'll buy a mutual fund. It's not going to happen. So it's more on the older people to learn about this. That said, I do think that one gripe I would have is that I do find when I go on podcasts with the crypto people, I find they're like 100% in crypto.
Yeah.
And I would make the case for stocks and bonds a little bit. A bond, you give somebody your money, and they just give you money back. It's like a coupon. Yeah. It's not a lot, but it's like no risk, free money. It's like their money works for you. That's why bond market's like, $100 trillion. Stocks, people get up every day at NVIDIA and innovate their butts off. And as an owner, you get paid from the cash they make in a dividend. Yeah. So your money works for you in both cases. It's not just a casino. I think they think stocks and bonds are simply another casino and it's only worth what someone else will pay for it. But there's this like cash flow and interest element to those two asset classes that I think people here underrate. And it's probably good to diversify away a little bit from this. The problem is when this goes up 100% every year, they think that all looks boring, but I get a little worried their expectations of that return is going to hurt. At some point, it's going to be painful. But maybe as they buy a house, get married and stuff, they're going to have to diversify in like a 401k or whatever. But I would make the case for other investments. And the other thing is, it's a little cocky sometimes to think only this is innovative. Yeah. But like NVIDIA, Apple is high innovation. Everyone here is using an iPhone. And like, why wouldn't you want to own that, what they do too? So I think TradFi has some things to teach this world as well. But I do think that the youth and the intellect of this crowd is really impressive. And I can't imagine this just doesn't keep growing, because passion and energy are usually really like correlated with like growth.
One last question. You got a new president, Trump. I'm not gonna
really
about politics.
I haven't heard of that. Who's that?
Yeah. So he went into office promising the crypto industry a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think you know about it. Now he is into office, and what's your resume? Is he really good for the crypto industry, or is it mixed?
It sounds like, look, I'm gonna say it seems mixed. His report card would be like maybe like a B-. I think on one regard, he's just not Gensler. Gensler and Biden were like antagonistic. So just that alone, I think you got to say that's an A.
Yeah.
I think the meme coin was not received well, because I think it shows that people are like, wait, this isn't a joke. The blockchain and Bitcoin is serious stuff. And maybe it shows that maybe he wasn't as locked into understanding that. It seems like his kids are a little more, but I think he's like a classic boomer. I think he also like, I think he thinks maybe it's fun and like he can promote his brand, so that appeals to parts of him. But I do think that coin didn't sit too well. And then, but having like a crypto council, and then when they did the strategic reserve fund, some people got mad it wasn't just Bitcoin, and the turf war inside crypto erupted. So it's complicated. But I think just like anything, the crypto people have to take a step back, look at the big picture and be like, you know what, net, this is like at least a B-, maybe a B in terms of my grade in the first 100 days or whatever. Wasn't perfect. Same with the ETFs. They didn't take flows in every day, but net 40 billion, I'll take it. Yeah. So I think you have to like do a net answer. And versus a year ago, I think most people would take it, even if it wasn't like exactly how they visioned it. And also, even though he didn't buy new Bitcoin from the strategic fund, it was just Bitcoin that didn't sell. At least they didn't sell it. I remember covering the flows for the ETFs last year. There was a couple governments that dumped Bitcoin and it caused the price to go down, and the ETFs actually bought a lot of that. So at least you don't have your own government selling the Bitcoin on the market. And it's actually smart. Like, why wouldn't the government is in debt? So holding a little bit makes sense. Just for them to come to that conclusion and have some people who are like good advisors, that's really strong. And then the SEC Atkins is like pretty much into it. He won't approve everything, but he's into it. Hester Peirce has always been pretty libertarian about it. I mean, you're in good shape. I mean, I would just sort of like sit back and let it play out. But we could tell people kind of like, again, they have these expectations and it comes in right here, even though you were here earlier, but because it came in here, people get upset.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty wise words. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
It's a pleasure. Okay, wir sind damit am Ende für dieses Interview. Vielen, vielen Dank, Eric Balchunas, being with us. Wenn euch dieser Kontext gefallen hat, liked das Video und abonniert unseren Channel. Und wir haben auch noch viele andere tolle Videos von der Token 2049 für euch. Also bleibt dran.